In sport, every battle is won or lost before it is ever fought. This truth is a reminder that victory isn't solely determined by game day performance, but by the careful preparation that precedes it. And for all the physical preparation most athletes do, what happens time and time again is that they neglect their mental preparation. Despite being in the best shape physically, you can easily crumble when the pressure of game day arrives. If you enter the court, pitch or track without preparing mentally, then it's just a matter of time before you embarrass yourself or your opponent sweeps you aside. Nerves take over, you're anxious, and start making mistakes. And the next thing you know, you've choked under pressure yet again. So what can you do? How do you ensure that you perform with complete focus, confidence, and control of your emotions? Well, let's run through the 3-2-1-GO method of mental preparation that any athlete can use to prepare for any sports competition. So the 3-2-1-GO method focuses on the 3 days leading up to your sports event or competition. And each of these days has a specific priority to help you start mentally preparing to perform your best when it matters most. 3 days out, your top priority is sleep. Because of either being excited or nervous, what tends to be the case is the actual night before a big game, our sleep is less than perfect. Like a kid on Christmas Eve, you just keep tossing and turning in anticipation. No matter what you try, you just can't nod off because your adrenaline is starting to build. And this is super frustrating because chances are you made a proper effort to get into bed early. And the problem is studies have shown time and time again that sleep deprivation can have a massive negative impact on athletic performance. Studies that have taken two groups of athletes where one group gets to sleep normally and the other is forced into sleep deprivation show that those who are sleep deprived end up experiencing decreases in their stamina and speed, their reaction times become impaired, and their decision making gets much worse. But don't worry, just because you didn't have the perfect night's sleep the night before a competition, that doesn't mean your performance has to suffer. Almost every time I've run a personal best in a running race, my sleep the night before has not been good at all. But what I make sure of is that my sleep 2 days and 3 days before a race is on point. You see, in having solid sleep 2 days and 3 days out from your match or event, you accumulate what I like to call sleep credit, as it can help cancel out any sleep debt that you may then accumulate. Sleep debt refers to the cumulative effect of not getting enough sleep over the course of several days, which can lead to all those negative impacts on performance just mentioned. So if you prioritize your sleep those few days before an event, where you make sure you get a solid 8 hours, maybe even a bit more, up to 10, then you bank extra energy that means you can afford to only have 5 to 6 decent hours of sleep the night before. This is the case even for the pros. We saw last year that Liverpool fans tried to disrupt the preparations of Real Madrid's squad by setting off fireworks outside their hotel at 1 AM the night before the Champions League final. And look what happened.
That's 5-2. Fuck me. Jesus!
So just make sure you get that solid sleep in a few days before your big competition or event. Just make extra effort to create the perfect conditions for a good sleep. So stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed. Turn off blue light on your phone or tablet. Use blackout blinds or an eye mask. All of these simple things will just help you nod off and allow you to sustain that mental clarity that you'll need on game day. So moving on to 2 days out, your main priority should be fueling your body and brain properly. Because at the end of the day, food is mood. If you eat shit, then you'll feel like shit. The stuff you put into your mouth has a huge impact on how your brain operates, and you want to make sure that come game day, you're as mentally clear as possible. You're not suffering from headaches that come from sugar crashes, or just a load of inflammation that comes from all kinds of processed crap. So from 2 days out, you want to make sure you're starting to carb load, so that you're building up those energy stores to play hard for a long period of time. And another thing is just to eat bland stuff. I once made the mistake of having quite a spicy curry the night before a running race. Let's just say I almost exploded out of my underpants, not just the blocks there. Never again. So have a set group of foods you go to that you know are not going to upset your stomach or interrupt your routine of toilet trips. These added little worries can just end up distracting you and causing unnecessary fear and panic. The last thing you want is going onto the pitch, court, track, and the number one thing on your mind is, I hope I don't shit myself. So just smash your oats, pastas, bread, and potatoes. These complex carbs allow you to have a more gradual and slow release of energy, which also leads to a much more stable mood throughout the day. If instead you're getting carbs from a load of junk food, then this just leads to rapid spikes in blood sugar followed by a crash. And this fluctuation can cause mood swings, irritability, and fatigue, all things you don't want to be feeling in the build up to a big performance. And just play around with this because you've got to work out what works for you as an individual. For a lot of athletes, the go-to is pasta, but for some of us, that just doesn't sit right. I recently saw an article about Declan Rice who said on game day, whether we've got 12 PM kickoff or an 8 PM kickoff, I eat about 4 hours before, and I always have sea bass and rice. Always. I used to have chicken and pasta, but I felt really heavy and stodgy. So after chatting with my nutritionist, I switched to sea bass and rice. I've been having that for the past year and a half, and it hasn't gone too badly, so I'll be sticking with it. So find what works for you and stick to it, just so there's a greater predictability and consistency in how your body and brain are feeling from the fuel you're giving it. If you vary these things too much, it just becomes a distraction and can cause unnecessary tension, anxiety, and worries about feeling whether your body will be as energized come game day. 1 day out from the event, the biggest priority you should have is just to relax your mind and body. If you have some nervous energy, then you can consider going for a little shakeout run or cycle just to release any tension and loosen up your muscles. It can also be a really good idea to do some stretching exercises, which can help you limber up and enhance your mobility. Because when we're getting a bit stressed about an upcoming event that's important to us, we can tense up a lot of our muscles, and this can make us stiff and increase the chance of injury. Once you've done this, it's then time to use some mental skills to start dialing up your focus and increase your confidence. So a big one to implement, even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes of it, is visualization. So check out this beginner's guide on visualization here. But what you want to do is just spend some time visualizing yourself succeeding in your event or match. Go through the motions of specific movements and plays with precision and confidence. Start living out all kinds of possibilities so that no situation or scenario phases you. You want to get to that point where you feel that whatever happens, you have an effective response so that you can continue playing or performing your best. And after you've done that, you should really spend the bulk of your afternoon and evening relaxing by doing things that are completely unrelated to your sport. So if you're a footballer, avoid FIFA. Play Fortnite or something else instead. Go escape for a few hours by going to the cinema, or take a relaxing bath, or just read a book for a bit. The point is you want to reserve and start building up your mental energy again for the actual day itself. Sometimes we feel we need to be 100% obsessed, always thinking about our sport. But what this often does is just end up using up way too much mental energy. And studies show that doing physical tasks become harder when we're mentally exhausted. That's why detaching from your sport the bulk of the day before an event is so important. And look, most of the pros do this. Roger Federer, arguably the greatest tennis player ever, would always ensure that the day before big matches, he'd just engage in leisure activities all day. He'd spend time with his family, play games like table tennis, or just have a little kickabout. And this massively allowed him to just take his mind off tennis. Same with Michael Jordan. He would often just play cards with his teammates the night before and chill out listening to music. He was a beast and obsessed on the court, but would really try to make an effort to step away from basketball that day before a big playoff game or championship game. Finally, it's go time, the day of your big sports event or match. And the priority here is obviously mentally dialing in so that you can put in a peak performance. One of the best things you can do to start your day off is to again revisit those visualization techniques. Really spend some time seeing yourself succeeding and excelling in every aspect of the performance. See yourself just dealing with any issues or problems that can occur, just so that you have an automatic response to whatever the game throws at you. You also then want to listen to a pre-performance playlist, one that can sufficiently psych you up, but also keep you relaxed so that you can get into the zone. You want a list of songs that you exclusively only listen to on game day so that you can start channeling into your performance mindset. Listening to music before physical activity can reduce your perceived effort, meaning that you can push harder without it feeling harder. It can also act as a flow state trigger to start allowing you to zone into the task at hand through eliminating thoughts of any other distractions or things on your mind. And it just allows you to channel pretty much any emotion that you want to feel. That's what music does, full stop. It ignites and enhances emotion. So choose a playlist of songs that tap into and encourage specific emotions that you want to feel. And then another key thing is to challenge yourself. Write down 3 to 5 things that you want to achieve during your performance. Make them specific action statements that can trick your mind into eliminating doubts and build the confidence needed for success. Again, someone like Michael Jordan would do this before every game. He'd challenge himself to have the perfect game, even though the perfect game doesn't exist. He'd tell himself that he'd make every shot, pass and block. He knew deep down this would be impossible, but the key thing for him was to put these thoughts into his mind to challenge the doubts, fears, and negativity that all our minds have. So write down the things that lead to a peak performance for you. It can be outcome-specific things like, I will score a hat trick. Or it can be process things like, I will extend my stride so that I glide across the road. Or even general mindset statements like, I will be fearless from first whistle to last. The point is just to focus your mind on realizing it's now game time. And it needs to be focused on specific things that give you the best chance of winning and putting in the best performance possible. And then finally, when you're on the court, pitch, or track, just take a moment to take 3 deep breaths and smile. It might sound simple, but these small actions can help calm those last few nerves and center you on this moment that yes, you want to do well in, but you also want to enjoy. Now, if you still feel like you struggle to handle pressure once your event actually starts, then check out this next video here.